there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. We have a trade. The week of the NBA trade deadline is upon us, and the deal is here. Shams Charania reporting that the Cleveland Cavaliers are trading forward DeAndre Hunter. Remember, they acquired him last trade deadline from the Atlanta Hawks. He is now on the move again, this time out west to the Sacramento Kings for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Third team involved here is the Chicago Bulls, who are seemingly eating Dario Saric's salary and thus in the process picking up 2 future second-round picks. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. Unlimited, glad to have you in here again. Kane, welcome back. Glad to see a lot of familiar names in here already. Sam says trade of a whole lot of nothing. We will discuss this trade. Kings GM not getting a single pick for Ellis or Schroeder, classic Kings, and taking on a rather sizable contract in the process too. 2001 Gaming Fan says, finally, we got to move. Shadow here says, here we go. Alfred Matthews says, yo, welcome everyone to the stream. Make sure to leave a comment if you are tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Lukey here says, A+ trade for the Cavaliers. I will give my grades here very soon. Now we know that Keon Ellis isn't worth a first-round pick. He did not go for a first-round pick in this trade. Saric is making, I believe, $5 million roughly. I can double check on that here in a second, though. Sam says the Sacramento special all-in move. So big news here. The Cavaliers, who I had talked about them possibly trading DeAndre Hunter. He was in one of my most recent videos. I talked about him as a guy that the Cavaliers could even potentially salary dump. They don't actually salary dump him. They actually got some good pieces back in this deal. They created $50 million in salary and tax savings this year as well, getting off of DeAndre Hunter's $22.5 million salary. Kings receive an established 3-and-D wing under contract through 2027 at age of 28 and roster flexibility. So obviously Keon Ellis was the premier pickup here for the Cavaliers. Really, really solid player. Not super young, of course. He is an older player in general. He is 26 years old. Just turned 26. So it's not like he's super young, but he is, obviously less experienced because he came into the league as a little bit of an older player out of college, but really, really solid player and a guy who's going to definitely help Cleveland quite a bit, I think. Very, very happy with that return for Cleveland. We will be giving my trade grades here for the Cavaliers. I think this is an A+ trade. I love this for them, and I will explain why here in a second. For the Kings, I'm going to give – let me think this through quick before I give that actual grade. Dario Saric's salary, I'm going to double-check on that. $5.18 million this year. So basically exactly 5.4 actually, $5.4 million. So I like this for them. For the Bulls, I'm going to give an A. Eating Saric's $5.4 million salary is a good way to pick up some second-round capital. Solid move on the margins for sure for Chicago. For the Kings here, I'm going to give this a... Let me look at DeAndre Hunter's contract one more time here before I commit to something. DeAndre Hunter, 4 years, $90 million contract, under contract for this year and next year. He is making $48.2 million. In those 2 years, I'm going to give the Kings a B-. Not the worst trade ever, but pretty uninspiring, I would say, for the Sacramento Kings. Welcome, everyone, to the stream, by the way. Really appreciate you guys all being in here. Be sure to subscribe. I will be live this entire week. So Monday through Thursday, I will be live for many, many, many hours on end. I know a lot of people are very excited to see some trades go down, and I am giving my trade grades here now. But pretty uninspiring for Sac. 48 plus. I'm committed to Hunter over the next 2 seasons. Not a great fit, but a wing with some size. Helps, I guess. Sad to see Keon go for a player I expected the Cavs to dump. Love the Keon Ellis fit in Cleveland. Another great pickup for their bench around the core four. Shaving off a ton of money too. All around very good for the Cavs. I really like this for Cleveland. I like this for Chicago as well, just eating salary. I just think it's a smart move on the margins. And then for Sacramento, it's just not great, but I don't think it's absolutely horrid. Thank you, AF, by the way, for tagging me over on Twitter. Make sure you guys do all go follow over on Twitter. Link is in the description there. Again, I will have my trade grades here up on the stream, as well as my reasoning. How would Hunter even fit into Sacramento? So the thing is here with Sacramento is you're looking at DeMar DeRozan potentially being moved. And the thing is, too, if it comes down to fitting their current team, which is partially why I didn't love this trade and kind of uninspired by it, it's hard to envision trying to build a fit around this roster right now because the team's not very good. They were over-indexing on guard play after trading away De'Aaron Fox last year because they didn't really have a true point guard. Then they ended up signing Russell Westbrook. Obviously, they still have Devin Carter, who could be another guy that moves at the deadline, which would be great for another team to pick him up, in my opinion. Obviously, they picked up Dennis Schroeder as well. Now Schroeder's on the move. So the Kings are getting a little bit bigger. Here, I think every time you watch Sacramento, they are just less athletic than pretty much every other team that they face, unfortunately. And I do think, Hunter, even though I think he's a pretty mediocre player making a good amount of money, I do think he does help them a little bit in terms of giving them another true wing to play around Domantas Sabonis. And, I think early in the season, especially before Keegan Murray came back dealing with injuries at the start of the year, I think it was very clear that this Kings team needed a little bit more size. But kind of like what Brad is saying here, Kings refused to tear it down. Why would they not trade with someone where the main asset is draft pick plus salary filler? And this is kind of the question for me here. If you're trading away Keon Ellis, I do think you could have gotten at least a low-level first-round pick from a team that's in contention. Like Boston, for example, they're in the top 3 in the Eastern Conference right now. Their pick doesn't project to be very good, but you could probably get a first for Keon Ellis, especially since he's making such a small amount of money. It's unfortunate that this was the way they went about it, and they didn't even get any assets for eating the salary of DeAndre Hunter. And in fact, Chicago's the team getting the assets here with 2 second-round picks in the future going to Chicago. Now, again, I don't think that's going to be probably super valuable second-round picks. It's not like it's going to – I wouldn't expect it to be like a Brooklyn second-round pick where you're picking at 31. Yeah, and this is what Caleb is saying, kind of echoing what I was just saying to you as well, that they they have someone who can fit. Again, I don't think it's like the end of the world. Like, I think there's going to be some really harsh reactions to this. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, but it's also just not great. And I think for Cleveland, I think getting Keon Ellis here is really, really good for them. Jim here says, what's up, Sheldon? You're my go-to. Can't wait for your trade deadline show. Appreciate you, Jim. Thank you guys all so much for being in here. Really do always appreciate you guys. Sam Jones here says, move Hunter for picks. That's not going to happen, Sam, unfortunately. DeAndre Hunter, if you look at what he was traded for last year from Atlanta, he is not a plus value player on this contract. Teams are not going to want to give up assets for DeAndre Hunter. So it's just unfortunately not how it's going to shake out for Sacramento. Eggs Benedict here says, so you think this is a trade that says another trade? Love your channel, by the way. Keep it up. Appreciate you, my man. When it comes to this trade being something that sets something else up, Cleveland could always use Schroeder's contract. Now, the issue is they can't aggregate if they do finalize this trade. We'll see. These teams could wait to finalize this since we are now in the week of the trade deadline, and then they could finalize it later in the week. But typically, you're going to see this trade probably get finalized. So I wouldn't expect it to not, but they could trade Schroeder. Cleveland could try and get off of his salary altogether. We'll see how they go about it, but one thing I do want to tweet this quick because I do think it's actually going to be a good point to add. I'm interested to see what else Cleveland does with this, especially if they do finalize this deal before the deadline. Could see them salary dumping to a team with space. Utah/Brooklyn. Those are the two teams that have cap space right now. Brooklyn has about $15 million. Utah or a TPE team in order to save more against the aprons/future money / tax money. Let's put that. So I'm very interested in seeing that as well, because for Cleveland's perspective, they're going to want to save a lot of money. They were $23 million over the or $22 million, over the second apron. Had they just flat out salary dumped DeAndre Hunter and taken back zero money, they could have actually gotten below the second apron. That is not the pathway that they went here. So with the overall, let me pull this up too. I just want to make sure that I get everything right here in this deal. I'm looking at the Cavs cap numbers here. So prior to this trade, the Cavaliers were $22.01 million over the second apron. Hunter makes 23, I think, DeAndre Hunter contract. Let's go back in, just make sure I have all of the numbers right, because I want to make sure I'm giving the best analysis possible. Yeah, DeAndre Hunter makes $23.3 million this season. A true salary dump could have gotten them below the second apron, but they took back. I'm going to pull up the Kings cap table here too, just to make sure that we've got everyone completely covered here. But going over to Sacramento's cap table now, between Dennis Schroeder, 14.104 and 2.3, so $16.4 million. They took back $16.4 million between Ellis and Schroeder. Interested to see if they actually keep both. Definitely interesting, the fact that they don't move themselves out of the second apron altogether in a deal, because I think one of the best possible ways for them to get out would have been a complete salary dump of DeAndre Hunter, but that's not the way that they went. Sam here says it makes zero sense for tanking Sacramento. They clearly seem to think DeAndre Hunter is a good fit for them long term, which is not necessarily what I would think or what I would do. But he is, DeAndre Hunter is in his age 28 season. So, they're committing a lot of money. Shout out to Albert here for following over on Twitter. Appreciate you big time, my man. Thank you for the follow. If you guys do follow right now over on Twitter, I will show your profile in the stream. So appreciate you big time, Albert. Really do appreciate you guys. And again, just going back to my trade grades, for those who are just tuning in now, I gave the Cavaliers an A+, because I love the Keon Ellis fit there. I think it's a really great pickup for their bench, gives them a little bit more reliable young depth, just 26 years old. And they shave off a ton of money, which is really, really good for them. Again, they have about $7 million in money saving this season. And then they're also getting off of money from next year, which is really, really good for them. Not the worst trade ever for the Kings, in my opinion. I think they get a guy who they're planning to be a part of their future, what it seems like to me, at least in this trade. And then the Bulls eat Sarge's $5.4 million salary, and they get a little bit of second-round draft capital in the process as well. Bilal, thank you so much for the follow as well. Appreciate you, my big time, my man. He says season 31 Survivor contestant, so that's awesome. Curry, welcome to the stream, my man. Appreciate you always being in here. 1282 Dub says, what does this mean for Lonzo Ball, Garland, or Sam Merrill wanted the Jazz to get Ellis? So if we go back, let me switch the screen share over real quick. I will hop back over to the Twitter, but I do want to pull up the Cavaliers cap table. So the thing here about this, remember, they were $22 million over the second apron, but that number is going to change. Shout out to Spot Track, by the way. This number is going to change now down to about $15 million, roughly. So if they did want to try and completely get out, Max Strus, a salary dump of Max Strus could get them completely out, although I don't necessarily expect that to happen, but it could. He was a guy I talked about last year for them. This season, has not played, obviously. So, that's an interesting possibility for them. You have Lonzo, you have Sam Merrill, you have Dean Wade, Jalen Tyson. Like, they could do something around like Lonzo and Dean Wade too to get out, but I think the most likely thing here would be a Max Strus move, and I do want to tweet about that too because I do think that's a pretty good possibility here. Would require a bit of dancing around for Cleveland, but a Max Strus salary dump would get them very close to the second apron threshold. Could see them aggressively posturing to get below that second apron figure. Because, again, the second apron comes with so many long-term issues, and I think that is evidenced here in this trade as well. The fact that Cleveland got out of money for next season, clearly they're trying to avoid being in the second apron for multiple consecutive years. Dennis Schroeder is the king of getting traded. Last year got traded twice. Remember, he was traded to Golden State and then traded to Detroit. Then he signed with Sacramento. Now he is moving back out east a bit to Cleveland. So he's been west to east to west to east, and he is going to be packing and moving once again. Giggity here says, as I said before, Hunter was considered too good by Atlanta years ago to include in a Rudy Gobert trade. Yeah, very, very unfortunate. BB Over says, I missed the beginning. I was playing a game. I'm good now, though. Appreciate you, my man. Glad to have you in here. Says, here we go. I'm going to get on 2K. Cowhead says, get Lonzo Ball off my team now. Cavs are a little guard heavy, for sure. But I think if you look at Lonzo Ball as like a wing, and Keon Ellis is kind of like a hybrid guard wing, I don't think there's going to be I don't think it's the end of the world. Seto here. Appreciate you. Thanks for the follow. Also, thank you to MJ McCleary for the follow as well. Appreciate you guys both so much. Appreciate all of the love and support that I continue to get every single trade deadline. You guys are so awesome. He's the new Ish Smith. He really is. King Nacho, glad to have you back in here, my man. We have 365 people watching live, and this is just the beginning. Reminder, I will be live the entire week of the trade deadline. He is always getting traded. He has been traded so many times. If we let's pull up this will be great. Let's go over here quick. We'll just do it on this tab. That's fine. Let's go to Dennis Schroeder stats. This will be great. Here we go. So obviously started his career in Atlanta, but since then he has jumped around. Luckily, he didn't get traded to the Lakers. Him and Luka would not be getting along well after some of those recent reports. Got Atlanta, OKC, Lakers, got traded to Boston, Houston, back with the Lakers again, Toronto, Brooklyn, Golden State, Detroit, Sacramento, and now on to another situation. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It will be his 11th team. 11 teams. He has played for a third of the NBA already, and it will add another team onto the list. So, Dennis Schroeder's he's played for. Crazy. If they view Hunter as a top a rotation player moving forward, which he is. It's not a horrible fit next to Sabonis. That's really the whole idea here. That's really the only reasoning. And I think Keon Ellis was a little overvalued by others. But I like Keon Ellis a lot. Don't get me wrong. I've liked Keon Ellis for a very long time, to be honest. But was he going to be worth multiple first-round picks? I don't think so. Do I think the Kings trade Sabonis? I wouldn't if I were them, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. We'll see what they do with Schroeder. If they salary dump Schroeder, the issue is they're going to have to. That's not technically true here, Sahaj, because they're going to have to fill their roster. They actually, well, I guess no, because they traded 1 for 2 tonight. So yeah, they technically could probably get there. It's either going to be Strus or Schroeder. We'll see what happens, but we'll see. Cavs have 9 guards. I mean, yeah, but most of these guys are off-ball players. Like, Jalen Tyson can play off the ball. Proctor is mostly an off-ball player anyway. Porter Jr. is not going to be on the ball. Like a lot of their classified guards are not really like on-ball guards regardless. So, Damos, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in here. He says, "Hey Sheldon, could you see Hunter being rerouted to the Lakers? Furthermore, which other stars would you pivot to if Giannis is not available for my Warriors?" I do not think Hunter will go to the Lakers. I'm actually very glad for the Lakers that will not happen, seemingly. And I think the most likely thing here for Golden State is if they don't get Giannis, that they try and break up the Jimmy Butler salary into smaller pieces and try and fill out their depth. But I'm not exactly sure. I still do really believe that Golden State is in the mix for Giannis, like genuinely in the mix. So we'll see what happens. Flood Pro, thank you for the follow over on Twitter as well. Appreciate you guys a ton. We got 400 people watching live, so everyone make sure to smash that like button. Rondo to Raw says, "Do we get an expiring in 2 seconds for free? Is AK finally competent?" Yes, the Chicago Bulls did sneak in here and get free assets for eating salary. And again, for me specifically, I gave the Bulls an A for eating that salary and picking up some second-round capital. We don't exactly know which assets they are at this point. Is it? Wait, the Kings gave up their second. Where are you seeing that? Is that Shams tweeting that? And the Kings converted Dylan Cardwell to a standard deal, which was pretty easy to expect to have happened this year. He's literally been starting games for them. So had they not, yeah, like I said, I love this for Cleveland mostly. Like I think the Cavaliers did really well. I did not like them getting DeAndre Hunter last year. It's just not. I'm not a DeAndre Hunter fan. Keon Ellis is very good. 11 teams for Schroeder is crazy. Jim here says, "Sheldon, I stepped away for a second. What else did the Kings get? They said they were trying to cut contracts. This gets them off Schroeder contract and gives that undrafted rookie at center a full-time." Yeah, so Dylan Cardwell has a standard NBA deal now. He has obviously been a huge part of their team this year, one of the bright spots for them. If Schroeder gets to 14, he beats the record. He is going to be close. The thing is, if he's on an expiring, so if he gets to free agency, it's likely he could be playing for someone else too. So we'll see. Big Money here says Devin Carter minutes coming soon. Maybe for another team. We'll see if he is actually a King. The Kings do very well at trading away young guards before they actually enter their prime, a la Tyrese Haliburton. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I remember the trade deadline. I was live for that, and I kind of ragged on the Kings a lot the moment that happened. Kings fans were not happy with me, but unfortunately, that has panned out the way I expected it to, and even more so for Indiana, even better than I expected. So Nicholas here says, "I don't understand the Dennis Schroeder pickup for the Cavs unless they reroute him." Well, he's an expiring. It's just about getting off of long-term money here, Nick. That's the biggest thing. Giannis to Miami, Hero, Jovic, and Ware to Bucks, AD and Wiggins to Warriors, Jimmy and Buddy to the Mavs. I'm not sure if Miami's going to actually be the team for Giannis, but we will obviously be covering anything that happens. I do have a Giannis trade packages video out on the channel, one for every single NBA team. John here, welcome back to the stream, John. He's a big-time Minnesota Timberwolves fan. Really appreciate you always hopping in. Some of my favorite comments and some really great thoughts that you always share and pour into the chat. So appreciate you. Let's get some W's for John. Make sure you spell it right. No H in there. W John in the chat right now for the $5 super chat. He says, I wanted Ellis for my Wolves. I'd settle for Ayo Dosunmu or Coby White. Not sure about the Jones brothers. Don't want Giannis if they got the entire team. I don't think Giannis to Minnesota is going to happen. I think there's so many hoops to jump through to really facilitate something like that. Obviously, it would be a huge, drastic shakeup if they did land Giannis, but I'm just not exactly sure that that will actually occur. When it comes to that guard position for Minnesota, it is very likely that I think Rob Dillingham does get moved. Coby White is, in my opinion, going to either be a Timberwolf or a Rocket. After the trade deadline is passed and through, we'll see which team actually does acquire him. But this is another move forward with Chicago where it does seem like they are going to maybe angle towards selling. They ate a contract here in Dario Saric's $5.4 million. They got a couple of second-round draft capital in the process, and I really like that move for them, and it maybe opens them up to selling a little bit. They have a bunch of expiring contracts. I would assume is one of them at $7.5 million this year. There's a lot of different possibilities, but for Minnesota, I would stay away from Tyus and Trey Jones myself. I do think a preference toward one of those other Bulls guards in Ayo or preferably Coby White would be an actual needle mover for this team. Although I don't want Minnesota to give up on Rob Dillingham too early. He's still very young. He's still learning the ropes in the NBA. You don't draft a guy top 10 and give him 16, 18 months to learn the position at the NBA level, in my opinion. But that is what Minnesota seemingly will do. So we will keep our eyes on them, John. But thank you again so much for the $5 super chat. Icon here says it was a 2027 Cavs second and 2029 Kings second. Okay. I mean, that Kings second could be pretty useful. So not bad at all there. The Land Sports 32, thank you for the follow over on Twitter. Appreciate you guys big time. And wow, the Cavs will be Dennis Schroeder's 11th NBA franchise, which is, again, absolutely insane. I hope Devin Carter plays. If we pull up Devin Carter's stats quick, I'll read it to the stream here. I won't put it up on the screen, but he's played in just 14 games this year. Has not been effective in those 14 games, just shooting 35% from the field, 27% from three, but it's in really low volume. Playing just 8.5 minutes per game played. He did play last night against Boston in 11 minutes, had 5 points on 2 of 4 shooting, a couple of assists and 3 rebounds. This is a guy who, coming out of Providence, I did actually like quite a bit. I do think he is an NBA caliber guard. I just need, again, you draft a player in the first round in the lottery, you need to be patient with him a bit. So we'll see what happens for sure. Logan here says Lakers should go for Highsmith and Sharp. Daron Sharp would definitely help. Haywood Highsmith, really solid defensive player. I'm just not sure if he has the offensive gravity that they need. Essential, thank you for throwing in that W for John. Love to see all of these awesome comments. On the topic of DeMar DeRozan, how's this trade? Shadow says I'll be watching for it in there as we go. Oh, here we go. DeMar DeRozan to Detroit for Duncan Robinson, Jay Ivey. I do not think Detroit does that, and I don't think Detroit should do that, given how well they're playing this year. And I think they should have their eyes set on something bigger, even a Giannis trade to some extent. Atlanta Analyst says, what's up, Sheldon? Glad to have you back in here, my man. Atlanta Analyst, big-time Hawks fan, has been watching the channel for a very long time. Him and I go way back. I've always appreciated talking to him. He's an awesome basketball mind. So appreciate you guys all. Love seeing all those W. Johns in the chat. We have someone with a correction for how to spell John. I just want to make sure we spelled John, the Wolves fan John, correctly with the way he spells his name. So I'm not going to get into all of the politics there on how to spell someone's name. But John here saying you're right on Dillingham, but it only matters if Finch plays him, and he won't. Rather him get a chance in Chi-Town. And that is the truth as well. I've spent a lot of time around Chris Finch. For those who don't know, I was credentialed around the Minnesota Timberwolves. I've been credentialed for other NBA teams as well. But for a whole season around Minnesota, I got to spend a lot of time in their locker room, speaking to Chris Finch himself. And he doesn't just hand out minutes to young guys, and it's hard because you make an aggressive move up in the draft. You want to see that young guy play. He needs some time on the court to develop. And listen, I'm not the biggest believer that, you got to just hand out minutes to young players. That's not necessarily the truth. A lot of guys develop even with small amounts of minutes, but you do have to get them on the court to some extent, give them very clear objectives on, okay, you're in the game. This is what we need you to do. This is how we need you to execute. And there are going to be some learning curves. It's hard to win with young players in the lineup, but Minnesota hasn't really harbored a lot of that. And John is exactly right here that Finch hasn't really given him those opportunities, and it might just be time for Minnesota to sell on him. And if I was another NBA team, especially a rebuilding team, I would be in on Rob Dillingham right now. Sean here says, as a Knicks fan, I wanted Ellis. What players you think they get at the deadline? I'm just glad Keon Ellis didn't go to the Knicks, and Sean is not coming from a point of hate, but Mike Brown, and Kings fans know this, Mike Brown didn't want to play Keon Ellis in Sacramento. So if New York got him, I don't know how many minutes he would have been logging. So don't worry as a Knicks fan, maybe for the best that you didn't get Keon Ellis. And at the deadline, I think there's going to be a variety of players that could make sense for New York. They have, a bunch of different pieces that they can move. Gershon Yabusele is definitely a contract to watch. We will see. Gruff here says Yeller Wild. Ellis, Sarge didn't play. Ellis was overrated. Couldn't break into a bad roster. Schroeder is the epitome of inconsistent. They opened DC to a goal spot and they got a legit 3-and-D player. That's A+. Listen, I think A+ is a little more of the idea of DeAndre Hunter and who he is. And this has gone back to even when DeAndre Hunter was at Virginia. I did not like DeAndre Hunter very much as a draft prospect. It was too many long twos for my liking. And he kind of fits into that kind of player that gets overdrafted. Rui Hachimura. You look at, obviously Patrick Williams is another kind of example. These big, long forwards that don't have a clear offensive identity or role in their game tend to get overdrafted. And I think, again, the idea of DeAndre Hunter is better than who he actually is on an NBA floor. I still think he's a serviceable top 8 rotation player. And for Sacramento, that's why I wasn't as harsh on them as maybe others would want me to have been, given his play this year and the contract size. But given the fact that it's an expiring contract next season, I'm not going to rag on Sacramento. I did give them the lowest grade of the 3 teams. But again, I think the idea of DeAndre Hunter is better than his actual production and performance. And I really don't think DeAndre Hunter is that good of a defensive player. That's one of the biggest things. We will see what happens. Dylan here says Carter won't play. Kings needed an extra guard for a couple games ago, and Christie just shortened the bench to 9 players. I mean, well, first of all, you have 2 players going out for 1 in this deal, and they're both guards, and Ellis and Schroeder. So Devin Carter, I do think that they should at least be giving him minutes, but again, I don't even think it's likely that he's on the roster after the trade deadline. It's very likely he gets moved. So Tyrone here says good move for the Cavs. Look for Lonzo Ball to be on the move. Gruff here says Jaden Ivey is also overrated. Come on, same old Kings coverage. The Kings lost no one of substance and got a real talent win for all teams. I wasn't too harsh on them, so I hope you do take that into account. If Portland uses the Bucks picks in a trade, who realistically could they get, and who would be your first choice for them? Spartacus, this is a tremendous question. This is arguably the question of the stream at this point. If I was Portland and I'm looking at these Milwaukee picks, first of all, Milwaukee doesn't control their own near future assets. So it's not super likely that they're going to have a ton of really great young players walking in. And even if they do get some young guys, it's hard to win with young players in your team. I am not moving this 2028 first and 2030 first round swaps unless I'm getting something really, really great. I know the name Jaden McDaniels has been floated, and I do think there is some feasibility to how that package could come together. The reality, though, if I'm Portland, given the direction of my team, the absence of a true 1A caliber player that I think would be the finalizing, stabilizing piece on this roster right now, I'm not giving up those picks unless I'm the team getting Giannis Antetokounmpo. I would want Giannis, and while, yes, it comes with risk because Giannis is a free agent at the end of 2027, so in the summer of 2027, he would be an unrestricted free agent because he has a player option for 2028 and probably would opt out. I do think Portland should consider making that kind of gamble. For Milwaukee, it makes a lot of sense to want your own picks back, especially the semi-near future ones, 2028, especially only a few drafts away at this point. And if Milwaukee's going to get a haul, Scoot Henderson makes sense. Jeremy Grant's contract makes a lot of sense. There's already reports that Giannis wants to play with Drew Holiday again. It seems like a lot of this stuff starts to fit together, and you look at what Portland has. They've got young talent. They have a breakout star in Denny Avdia the last couple of years. He's been playing awesome basketball, and they just need that top-end guy. And I think positionally, he makes a lot of sense next to Donovan Clingan. They have, Hansen Yang, who they could throw in. They got that 2028 first via Orlando through Memphis by trading down in the 2025 draft. They've got a couple of picks in 2029. They have future control of Milwaukee stuff. There's a lot of ways that Portland could be very active in the market, and trade with Milwaukee just straight up for the Greek Freak, I think makes a lot of sense. So I think that's the player to watch for, and that would be my first choice. Very great question here from Spartacus. Nicholas says Steph will be done by 2030. So if you are looking for an argument for the Warriors to land Giannis, definitely would be another sensible position for Golden State, or for Milwaukee, to look at them and say, hey, if we get long-term Warriors picks, they're going to be pretty good at some point in time, you'd have to assume. So we will see. Sean Johnson here says, as a Knicks fan, I wanted Ellis. Oh, yeah, we talked about this. That Hunter Giddey ankle breaker was legendary. That was one of the highlights of the early part of the season for sure. BB Over TV says, where do you think Chris Paul goes? Honestly, that's a really great question. I kind of would love to see him back in Oklahoma City. Like if the Thunder are doing something and they end up trading away like Ousmane Dieng, for example, and they open up a roster spot, I think acquiring CP3 would be awesome. Like trying to give him a championship ring on his way out. He was such an integral part for them developmentally a few years ago when they first acquired Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So I think a return to OKC would be what I would root for at the very, very least. PJ Cruz, welcome to the stream. He says, Detroit basketball. PJ, it's been a long time coming. I remember you being in here for all of the prior streams when Detroit was one of the bottom feeders out east, and now they are at the tippity top of the Eastern Conference. Appreciate you, my man, PJ. Ash says, realistically, where do you think Giannis wants to go, and where do you think he ends up in season or off season? I think realistically, he should be traded in the season. If I was Milwaukee, waiting until the offseason poses a much bigger risk because, first of all, you give him more time to kind of think about where he wants to play. And then what happens if between now and the summer he says, well, I only want to be a New York Knick, or, oh, I only want to play for this team or that team. All of a sudden, the guy who is at that point an expiring contract, who would be a free agent in less than 12 months, what if he dictates where he wants to go a little bit more aggressively than it seems like he's doing currently? It restricts your market. All of a sudden, your packages probably look way less intriguing. He's a little bit older as well. The longer we wait, the more he ages. That's just how life works. If I was Milwaukee, this trade would have been done yesterday. I think that they need to stop dragging their feet. They need to trade him. They need to trade him now. I even have a tweet before this season started saying that they need to get out ahead of this bus and trade him before he requests a trade. They haven't done that. They've been super slow in their decision-making. And the longer they wait, it's going to hurt them more and more. And I do think realistically, there's a bunch of teams that make sense to me. I've really gone back between Portland, San Antonio, which I'm not sure if the Spurs will actually aggressively pursue it. I've looked at Golden State and Atlanta. Those four teams make the most sense to me from Milwaukee's perspective. So Hark here says 80 plus Wiggins to Golden State. I mean, the Warriors buying on Anthony Davis actually wouldn't be like the worst idea for them. Donald, welcome to the stream. He says he's a Knicks fan. Great to have you in here, my man. Bulls waived Jevon Carter. Let's go back over. Yep. Okay. So Shams, let's go back over to Shams here. Shout out to Shams Sharania, by the way. Let's get some W's in the chat for Shams. Always does a great job covering the league as a whole. So the Bulls are waiving guard Jevon Carter to create space for Saric. Sources says they emerged as third team and received assets to consummate the trade. Solid veteran guard now out on the market. Not a huge needle mover, but definitely roster worthy. Hopefully Jevon Carter catches on somewhere because I do like his style of play a lot. Robert, thank you for tagging me over here. Appreciate you a lot, big dog. We'll see what happens. Wizards have a $13 million trade player exception. Adds in coffee and ball. Appreciate you for adding that little bit of info, talking about what we were discussing earlier. I will go back here just to recap again for everyone watching. In case you're just tuning in now, here were my trade grades. I gave the Bulls an A, Cavaliers an A+, and I gave the Kings a B-. I could have been a little bit harsher on Sacramento, but I was not, because I do think at least, DeAndre Hunter can give them 28 minutes of okay play. So Spartacus says, appreciate the detailed answer. Keep up the great work and hit that like button. You guys heard Spartacus. Everyone smash that like button right now. I'm going to check how many likes the stream is at. I'm refreshing my page here. We're at 82 likes. We definitely can get 100. That just takes 18 more of you to hit that like button. Gruff here says, do you think Portland makes a move on Sabonis? His dad played there. If Toronto makes a Sabonis move, do you see RJ Barrett fitting well with DeMar and Levine? Gruff, appreciate you big time for this question. Obviously, the Arvydas Sabonis hype. People don't understand how good Arvydas was. He was unbelievable. I watched a lot of old game film. Obviously, a ton of highlights of Arvydas as well. Man, that guy was extremely skilled. One of the most advanced big men, especially at his time of play. His processing, court awareness, all that stuff was just upper level. If Portland getting Sabonis would be awesome. I'm just not sure if that's the move that they'll make. Toronto does seem like a more likely outcome to me, and with how much they preach ball movement. I think a trade around like Barrett and Pirtle makes some sense for Toronto, but I also could see them wanting to try and move quickly salary. So if it comes down to Barrett fitting in Sacramento, I don't think the fit around DeMar really matters at all to the Kings. We'll see if DeMar's even on the roster after the trade deadline. I do think the Clippers will at least sniff around Rosen a little bit. And I think Levine, I think if you're Sacramento, you're mostly now looking at, okay, which pick do we get in the 2026 draft? Can we kind of reconfigure this roster on the fly, maybe get a little bit quicker, a little bit more athletic? Obviously, Barrett can put the ball in the hoop. He's strong. Fairly coordinated as a driver. Now, I do think his touch around the rim is a little underwhelming at times, but if the Kings are trying to kind of re-navigate their roster quickly, pivoting over to DeAndre Hunter, RJ Barrett, whoever they draft in 2026, maybe makes a little bit of sense. But I think it's just going to be a little challenging for them given the current context of their team. Ash here says, my exact thoughts, to be honest, with how the Bucks are managing it. Definitely some real difficulties. They've just, if you look at John Horst's recent history in terms of trades he's made and also the draft picks he's made, he's done a horrible job. So the scary thing is that's the guy that they have making the decisions right now still. So we'll see. Donald here says, like, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Appreciate you guys all so much. Angelo, remember you big time, my man. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure you're a Warriors fan even. Make sure to send a message either confirming or denying that. But let me know. I'm pretty sure Angelo is a Warriors fan, if I can remember right. Heinrich says, Sheldon, it's been a long time. Appreciate you, Heinrich. Glad to have you back in here, my man. Logan says Portland, Golden State, and Miami. Talking about Giannis teams. Shadow says, I do agree with the part that Giannis should have been moved at least last season. The longer amount of time he had on his contract, the more they would have gotten for him. And it's difficult because, this year wasn't unpredictable. It was very clear that their roster was not very good. I said that before the season, even after getting Miles Turner, which I thought it was creative how they got off of Dame, acquired Miles Turner, and I still think they're in a much better position after doing that because now they could theoretically trade Miles Turner, whereas Damian Lillard would be literally worth nothing out in the marketplace with a ruptured Achilles. So at least they made that move. But it didn't move them forward enough, especially with how poor their guard play is, how poor their overall team defense is built. The trade for Kyle Kuzma last year at the deadline was kind of like the beginning of the end, kind of starting to nail that coffin shut a little bit. This team is just not very good. Ash says, I just see it risky for Portland since Giannis probably wouldn't re-sign. That is the obvious risk, right? But I don't know if you can get some kind of commitment to signing. They'd be really good, man. So we'll see. It depends. Giannis has been extremely loyal to Milwaukee, so I'm not really sure if market size is going to be the end all be all for him. He's constantly a guy who's number one or number two in the All-Star voting as well. So the market, just like LeBron was the market in Cleveland. Giannis will be the market wherever he goes. So I'm not overly worried about that one way or another. Jevon Carter had an 11-5-1 game tonight. Obviously, this time of the year, too, teams. It's important. I'm going to say this because I want to make sure people, consider this too. This time of the year, a lot of teams make decisions that isn't just what's best for us right now in the short term. And Jevon Carter obviously looks like that because, I think the Bulls internally all know he's a better player right now than Dario Saric, but they had to eat Dario Saric's contract. So that's what they did in this short term. So we'll see. Interestingly enough, too, it is another big. Last year, the Bulls got Zach Collins. He's an expiring. You're also looking at, Vucevic is an expiring. So the Bulls could be huge players in free agency, even this offseason. Robert here says, any players where you think the Clippers could go for? I think DeRozan's one that we've talked about. There's quite a few that are going to be on the table for them. Just like, here's the thing about the Clippers, like they don't, their salary slots aren't like super appealing to trade away. You have Collins' big salary, which is where you would maybe fit the DeRozan number. Bogdanovic has a team option for next year. So like that could be looked at as an expiring. It's $16 million, which isn't the worst. But otherwise you got Lopez and Batum both making between 5 and 9. I don't know. It's not like crazy. They should be a Jevon Carter team. The Rockets or the Clippers. Either of them should be in on Jevon Carter. Old Dirty here says we're converting Jenkins eventually. We don't want Jevon. Dennis Jenkins will be on a standard contract to some extent before the end of the year. Appreciate you, Angelo, again. BB over TV says, I think Blazers give Scoot if they get Sabonis. Definitely could be something that Sacramento would want. Atlanta Analyst says John Horst days are definitely numbered. I would be shocked if he's there for longer than this offseason. The Guyini High says, why do you say the Kings should hold on to Sabonis? Because Domantas Sabonis is incredibly skilled. He's really good, and if they trade him, I don't think that they're going to get a player or pick back that's as good as he is, and I think it's going to be hard. Also, my cat is here to say hi to the stream. Everyone put in W. Reese in the chat. I'm going to throw a W. Reese in there as well. He did not like the way I was holding him there, but what do I think that Sohan can bring to the Spurs in a trade? It depends on how they structure it. They could use him as kind of a filler in a trade to get to a bigger salary, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or they could just flat out trade him somewhere and they would probably get like a second round pick or maybe two. I don't think that you're going to get a first round pick for Jeremy Sohan in 2026. Some form of low level draft capital. Yes, Arvidas was just incredible. Oh, Angelo is a Lakers, Cavs, and Celtics fan now. Love to hear that. Lil Willie says, did you think Coby White gets traded to the Rockets? Yes, Willie. I was between kind of them and Minnesota. I think those are the two leaders in the doghouse right now for Coby White, so to speak. Antonio here says, Cavs fan, terrible trade, got smaller instantly, way too many guards. Doubt if they both even suit up for Cleveland. That is a real possibility that, like, for example, Schroeder might not actually play for them. But I do think Keon Ellis is not a typical point guard, right? Like, he defends up and down the lineup. I think he'll fit great in Cleveland. You got a little bit smaller, but I don't know. I'm not like overly concerned about it. I like Keon a lot, which Living Proof seems to think I'm underrating Keon, which I don't believe I am. Heinrich here says, Sheldon, when it comes to trades and trade deadline, you're my favorite. Are you planning to do the live stream on deadline day? Yes, I will be live the entire week, actually. So on Monday, I'll be live. Tuesday, I'll be live. Wednesday, I'll be live. And then Thursday as well, I will be live. So I will be live on YouTube the entire week, so this is the place to be. Make sure you guys do subscribe if you haven't already. B-Ball Over TV wants to know Jevon Carter landing spots. We did talk about the Clippers. We talked about the Rockets. Minnesota could be one. Milwaukee could be one. A reunion with the Milwaukee Bucks could make some sense there as well. Benjamin here says, is there a chance DeAndre Hunter gets moved again? No, I think he will stay in Sacramento. From how this trade looks, it looks like the Kings wanted DeAndre Hunter. About that time says, I live in Sac and I'm boycotting this team. Could Hunter possibly be included? Theoretically, he could. Now, it depends on how they go about this. So I'm going to go into full screen here just to explain this quick. These three teams could decide to finalize this trade ASAP. And if they do that, then they can't re-aggregate these players with other stuff. So, for example, if they finalize the trade, then Cleveland could not trade Dennis Schroeder with another player on their roster, like Jalen Tyson, just as a hypothetical. Not that Tyson would get moved or anything, but just hypothetically, the Cavs would not legally be allowed to do that in a trade because of aggregation rules and recently traded restrictions. But what they could do is trade Dennis Schroeder by himself somewhere else. So it's possible that Dennis Schroeder plays for the Cavs by Tuesday and then on Thursday gets traded again. That is possible. And for Sacramento, whether this trade gets finalized or not, Hunter could get moved again. But based on what this trade looked like, the fact that Keon Ellis was involved in it, and the Sacramento Kings were moving around some assets and salaries to make this work, makes me think that Sacramento wanted to shave down a roster spot so that they could bring in Dylan Cardwell to a standard contract, and that they actually wanted DeAndre Hunter, which is seemingly how this is happening. About that time says the Kings are the Jets of the NBA. As a New York Jets fan, I feel you on that, and my heart hurts. It's terrible being a New York Jets fan. Love seeing the W. Reese's fly in. Besides Coby White, who should the Rockets target? I don't think they're really in position to make anything huge happen. They do have Dorian Finney-Smith's contract, which could be a good starting point in a trade. Otherwise, they do have Fred VanVleet's salary. But he basically has an implicit no-trade clause. So he will not get moved. Love seeing the W. Reese's fly in here. Appreciate you guys. Gruff here says DeRozan's the top 25 scorer all time in the league. That's called value. He's an elite scorer for sure. The issue is the level of winning because of the way that he scores. It's hard because DeRozan's a really good player, but how far are you going in the playoffs with DeMar DeRozan being one of your 2 or 3 best players at this point in time? Probably not far, and his fit around other elite talent, in my opinion, isn't great. I didn't love the DeRozan acquisition for Sacramento. I feel like it kind of took away some of their juice and off-ball scoring that they had around Sabonis, even though DeRozan's a great cutter, obviously fantastic touch. He's a tremendous individual player. There's just a lot of complexities into spacing, and I think it's just very, very difficult. Harrison Barnes and Sohan getting packaged, I imagine, says too clutch Corey. Definitely a possibility, right? The Spurs have some of the best flexibility at the trade deadline. They have a ton of meaningful draft picks. They've got some of those Atlanta assets in the near future. They've got some far out King stuff. Still, I believe, a swap with Minnesota as well down the road. They've got a lot of really great stuff. And then they've got contracts that they could work together to move as well. Heinrich here says, Sheldon, let's say I'm a franchise and I'm ready to give you 3 first-round picks. Will you do it? I mean, it depends on which player you're asking me to trade, but if I'm getting first-round picks, especially multiple of them, it's very likely I would be looking to acquire those, yes. If you're talking about Giannis, it's very possible Giannis does not get traded. That is true. Although I will say the worst-case scenario for Milwaukee is they don't trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I've seen Sam Vecenie of The Athletic floating that and saying, why not just extend him? If you want to be 11th in the East forever, sure, go ahead. I would really advise against that. I just think it would be terrible. Brian Wright ain't doing anything. Talking about the Spurs. He was at the BYU-Kansas game today, getting a close-up look at AJ DeBonsa and Darren Peterson. Old Dirty here says, what's your assessment on MPJ's value on the market? What would a package for him from the Pistons look like? That's a good question. Let's go over to Fanspo, actually. That is one I do want to actually look at and cook up. Now, the issue here for me is if I'm Detroit, first of all, you're winning so much that you don't want to disrupt the team too drastically unless you're so super confident in something. MPJ as a player off of Cade and Duren is something I would be very confident in. His skill set is like a perfect glove fit onto this team, in my opinion. Now, there's a couple ways you could go about it, right? You could do something around Tobias Harris's salary, although I'm not sure if I'd want to do that. I think I'd want to center it more around Duncan Robinson, and you're basically looking at this as an upgrade on your movement shooter role, where MPJ steps into the Duncan Robinson role offensively as a guy who can flow off of handoffs and staggers and ghost screen, all that fun stuff that Detroit JB Bickerstaff has Duncan Robinson doing. And you use this Karis LeVert salary to get there. Otherwise, if you don't do Karis LeVert's salary, you could do something around Jaden Ivey's salary, or you could even combine both of them. It depends on how you want to structure this, because you could use Paul Reed, but that probably wouldn't happen. You could use Marcus Sasser. If we work around these two, and then you could throw in, another cheap-ish player, we'll just use Haywood Highsmith for the sake of the argument, and then first round pick this year, which doesn't project to be very good. Like something like this is a deal where I think it would be hard for Brooklyn to do substantially better than this. You never know. Sometimes teams get desperate, and who knows what the offers for MPJ are going to fully look like. I think anything more than one real first round pick would be kind of a lot, especially since, if you look back at what the deal was for him in the summer to go to Brooklyn, like it was an upgrade in the eyes of Denver of going off of MPJ. MPJ's salary is still very massive. It's a huge money commitment. And the Nets here are getting not only a first round pick, but they're getting another quality player in Duncan who should have value around the league. I don't love Karis LeVert, but I know there's value. And then Jaden Ivey is a guy that I would love to see on another situation. Now, I don't think Brooklyn's really the most sensible fit for him when it comes to the other young players that they've already drafted recently. But Ivey is a player I'd be trying to get as another team around the league. I think Ivey's the guy that Minnesota should want. I think he would be awesome there, but I don't think that's going to probably be the actual outcome. D-Flow says, do you think Cleveland trading Hunter is a sneaky move to make an offer for Giannis since they are no longer under the second? Well, they are still over the second apron at this point, D-Flow. But if they got under the second apron, maybe. But honestly, and I talked about this in my 29 trade offers for Giannis, Cleveland could have worked out a 3-team deal with Brooklyn or with Utah where they salary dumped DeAndre Hunter, gave up some second-round picks to do it, and then they would have had to do something around Evan Mobley probably for Giannis. They just don't have a good enough offer for Milwaukee unless Evan Mobley's the one going out the door. So I would be very surprised. Heinrich here says, sorry, I forgot to mention the player was talking about street clothes. If I give you 3 first-round picks for Anthony Davis, yeah, you could have Anthony Davis yesterday if you're giving me 3. Anthony Davis, if and when he gets traded this trade deadline, he is not going to get traded for very much. He is going to get a very small amount of compensation back, and it's going to make the Luka Doncic trade look even worse than it was. And at the time, it looked horrible. Sanik here says Dennis Schroeder going to end his career on all 30 teams at this point. He was saying that he hates trade deadlines, and the trade deadline sneaks up on him. And he's always like the first guy traded too, I swear. He is just always on the move. T3 and D says Lonzo Ball has to be on the move soon. We'll see what they could do. They could do something around Strus's salary. They could reroute Dennis Schroeder. They could move Lonzo. I think the Schroeder or Strus outcomes are more likely given their tax status and apron statuses, but we'll see. Kyle says, isn't the point of getting MPJ would be to add shooting? Trading Duncan just puts them back in the same spot of needing shooting. Yes, but MPJ has been significantly more productive this year. This is not the accurate stats, but let me just in case, because I'm not sure how closely everyone's following the Brooklyn Nets season because it has been done for a while. But let's look up Michael Porter Jr. stats. This is what he did the last game against Denver, 38 points. And if you look at what he's done for the season, I think you'll be quite impressed because this year he's averaging 25 points, 7 rebounds, over 3 assists a game, 48% from the floor, over 39.5% from 3, basically maintaining his career numbers. and he's doing it even more involved in the offense. He's been actually a huge plus for Brooklyn, and he's just 27 years old. So he's younger than Duncan Robinson, fits perfectly on the timeline of Cade and Duren for the next 3 to 4 years if you're viewing him as a long-term piece. He's also bigger than Duncan, more athletic than Duncan. He rebounds the ball way better than Duncan, and he's just flat out a way better player than Duncan. He's been a part of a championship team before. He's a career 17-point-per-game scorer. And I love Duncan Robinson. I think Duncan Robinson, super underrated player. I liked him so much in Miami. I actually justified him getting huge contracts in the past. Really great player, but you see just not the overall impact quite so much, especially in the rebound department. So if you're looking at getting a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, without jeopardizing any of your three-point shooting, you're getting that. A guy who shoots very similar volume of threes, but is more dynamic than Duncan offensively and is younger. So that's kind of the argument. Now, again, I understand your point here. Like, it would be awesome to have both of them. But if you did go to get Michael Porter Jr., then you have to give up salaries back if you're Detroit, which, again, I don't even think is going to happen. I don't think MPJ will be in Detroit, but I did want to talk about it. So I don't see Clippers trading Collins, Batum, Lopez, or anybody, but I do see them trading Bogdanovich and Chris Paul. More than likely that will be the reality, Steven, especially Collins as of late since they've started their kind of winning stretch. He's been playing much better. If you look at how he's been shooting the three ball this year, 43% on, albeit semi-low volume, kind of similar to where his career numbers are, but having a career in terms of actual efficiency as a shooter. So highest effective field goal percentage of his career, which is not surprising because playing around James Harden makes life a lot easier for everybody who's ever done that. BX here says, do you think the Grizzlies could offer a package for Giannis around Jaren, Santi, Wells, and picks? I don't think it would be around Jaren. If anything, I think it would be around Ja Morant, and they would try and be huge and massive, but not really the most likely outcome. Basketball Over TV says, fun scenario, the Timberwolves are trying to clear salary for Jevon Carter and will give a team Rob Dillingham along with newly acquired Julian Champagny, but only needs a first or two for him. I think, first of all, no one's going to claim Jevon Carter's salary unless it's Utah or Brooklyn, just because of cap space situations. So Jevon Carter will go unclaimed, and then if he does sign, he'll sign for the minimum at a prorated number. So Minnesota, and he makes less than the mid-level. So Minnesota could just outright sign Jevon for the minimum. They might not have to salary dump anyone for Jevon if they do want him. Which team should rebuild, says Lil Willie. There's a lot of them. Sacramento is kind of in the process. Milwaukee definitely needs to be one that is acquiring assets this deadline. There's quite a few that should. I mean, a lot of them already are. You look at Brooklyn, Utah still. Utah could be like a sneaky buyer, actually, but it depends on what that offer looks like and who they're getting. Teased here says, do you see the Wizards getting Lonzo Ball? Probably not, just being honest with you. I think Washington, if anything, they're going to try and keep their offseason flexibility. They have about $60 million in cap space this offseason. They will make a run for Walker Kessler, who is a restricted free agent. Dirty Dancer here says Cavs feel really, really small now. I mean, it does help that they have 2 7-footers in their front court. But if we do look at the Cavaliers roster, which I'll pull up now, my cat is bumping my computer here. You probably can hear him meowing even. Just looking at their team, like, I'd expect Jalen Tyson to step in. He's 6'6". Like, yeah, they lose Hunter, but Dean Wade will play more. My cat is being crazy. Naquan Tomlin's been playing a lot for them. Actually, I've kind of liked what he's given them this season, to be honest. He's played quite well. My cat is bumping my webcam. All right, that's enough, Reese. Oh my God. All right, I think you guys should still be able to hear me. See if my camera will reconnect. There we go. My cat knocked off the camera, but trade the cat to Sacramento. Reese, you're on the move. You are getting sent to the Kings or what we call NBA purgatory. Cat's a little bored. Yeah, I swear the thing is, like what you guys just witnessed, he does in every single video. Every single video that I record, he hops up there, and at some point I have to edit something out of the video. He is making sure I work very, very hard. And too hard, honestly, to do stuff. Ree's trying to stream snipe. He is. Really, I'm glad you guys all got to witness that. That's a day in the life of Sheldon here, trying to just talk basketball to you guys, and all of a sudden my cat's got to get himself involved. He's like one of those high volume, low efficiency wings where you're watching a game and you just can't help but notice him trying to hurt the process. And that was him right there, trying to go to work. Reese here says, do you think the Grizzlies will be making any moves or just stay put? I definitely could see Memphis doing something. I'm going to have a trade deadline predictions video coming out very soon. Reese, probably on Monday, to be honest. That's a little bit of tea for you guys, 400 people watching live. On Monday, I'm planning to have trade deadline predictions coming out. So, obviously, now I can't include a DeAndre Hunter trade in that, which was what my original plan was for Cleveland. But that will need to get tweaked. But on Monday, that will come out, and I will have something definitive in there for you about Memphis. But I don't think that they're going to just stay put completely. Last year, you remember they traded LaRavia. They've been active usually around the trade deadline, even to a small extent. So they'll definitely do something, I would have to guess. Luke says, do you think Klay Thompson should be on Houston's radar? Can't help but feel they need a shooter. I mean, I don't mind Klay for them, but it doesn't seem like the most likely direction that they go. If they do something, I think they'll look for a more traditional ball handler, someone who can actually dribble the ball a bit. But Najee Marshall could be a guy on Houston's radar if you're looking at Mavericks. Otherwise, a guy like, Coby White, who we've talked about, even D'Angelo Russell to a smaller extent. But I mean, yeah, wouldn't love that. Hark says you should do a deep dive on how the Kings have fallen off so far since like the beam. It's been tragic. It's been very, very unfortunate for them. And Chienko says, do you think Knicks are going to do anything before the deadline? Yes, I definitely do. I think they'll do something with Yabusele's money. For sure. Appreciate you guys a ton, by the way, over 120 likes now. Let's everyone hit that like button one last time here if you haven't already. Badinsky says Kings having Hunter is weird to me. So curious if the Lakers were planning on him in the first place. I really didn't love that fit for the Lakers, to be honest. I'm just not a huge DeAndre Hunter guy. Did not think he was a guy that was going to move the needle for them in a huge way. I'm not super, by the way, look at the I'm just not super worried about them being like tiny. They are, smaller just because you have Garland and Mitchell, who are both not big for their position. Mitchell's a super undersized 2, and Garland's very small for a 1, but like, I don't know, you have 2 7-footers in your front court, and you have, a combination of guys here in Wade and Lonzo. Like the bigger question for me is, are they fast enough in their front court instead of, are they big enough across the board? Honestly, that's how I feel. Like, do they have enough shot creation? Do they have enough scoring? And I think that's going to be one of the bigger questions for them come playoff time. Justin Miller says trade Ja to the Heat. Ja will definitely be at the forefront of any Grizzlies discussion going forward. And Shirinko says, where do you see Giannis at, either by the deadline or in the offseason? That will be in my trade deadline predictions video as well. I will have more Giannis discussion, especially for the Milwaukee Bucks, whether that is them keeping him until the offseason or trading him. But I will definitely answer that question in that video, so stay tuned for that. I always love recording the videos covering all 30 teams because I feel like every fan, anyone who loves the NBA can get something out of it for their favorite team. And then also for those real basketball sickos, you can sit in, listen, think about all the other possibilities and options. It's so fun. I really love what I do. I love getting to talk about basketball, and I love having such a passionate fan base. Maybe not fan base, but passionate community. I think is the best way to put it. As we got Sacramento Kings Reese here again. I'm going to have to get him a Kings jersey. He is there. He goes flopping too, acting like I'm fouling him.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
He somehow activated Siri on my computer as well. So Justin here says amen for Castle and Champagny. I don't think either team does that, to be honest. I don't think Houston would do that. I think they really love amen, and I don't think the Spurs will be trading with the Rockets. About that time, says Ja to Sacramento, and they'll give up all picks they still have. I mean, if Memphis could get unprotected Kings picks, I'd be all in on that. We got SGA Cat. Yeah, you saw him flop his head back. He has that little like head flick like every NBA superstar does. Oh, man. I appreciate you guys all so much. I will end the stream here in just a second, but I will go back really quick to just, again, recap for anyone who either is watching this after the fact or for those who are tuning in now who want my overall thoughts on the trade tonight. First of all, here we'll recap the trade. The Cleveland Cavaliers traded DeAndre Hunter to the Sacramento Kings for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. And in the process, the Bulls acquired Dario Saric's $5.4 million contract and 2 future second-round picks. And then my grades here for Cleveland, I gave it an A+. I really like Keon Ellis's fit in Cleveland. I thought it was a really great pickup for their bench. They saved a ton of money both this season and next as well. And very good for the Cavaliers all in all. For the Kings, I was less harsh than maybe others would have wanted. And for Kings fans, I'm sorry I wasn't as optimistic as you would like for me to be. But I was pretty uninspired. You're taking in $48 million of salary for over the next 2 seasons, $23 million this year, $24.5 million next year. He's not like an elite fit, but he is a wing with some size, which I think Sacramento does need. And then Chicago, I gave an A just because they're getting 2 second-round picks. And I did see a question here. Are these picks any good? I believe the report was that it's a 2029 Kings pick and a 2027 Cavs second-rounder. So not anything like super incredible, but I mean, that 2029 Kings pick could be pretty good. Who knows what happens with Cleveland, barring any injuries or something. So the more assets you have, the better. And Chicago basically got them for free tonight, which is really, really good. Badinsky here says, great work. Keep it up and excited for more streams as this deadline rolls on. Yes, reminder, I will be live the entire week of the trade deadline. Might be live tomorrow, even Sunday, which is now Sunday my time here on the East Coast. But I will be live for certain on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, I do coach basketball as well. I coach high school basketball. So I do have some previous commitments that will come up throughout the week. But I will certainly be live pretty much every single morning. And then as much as I can be around my other commitments with coaching. So it's all basketball all the time for me, as you guys can tell. Badinsky, really appreciate you guys being in here. Shout out to everyone. Make sure on your way out to leave a comment. I'm going to be staying here just a little bit and thanking everybody. So if you're heading out, make sure to leave a comment right now. Hailstone says, thanks, GG. Appreciate you, my man. AG says, who's getting cut from the Cavs roster since they're over the limit. Looking at the Cavs roster, I don't think they're over the limit. Let me look at the Cavs cap table. I don't think the Cavs are over the limit. They got 2 players for one. I think they were at 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, they just have 15 players now, counting Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder, which is this is updated over here on Spot Track already. So looking at the Cavs cap table here, $14 million of space. Strus or Schroeder dump would be able to get them out of the salary. Brooklyn has, let me look this up too. Nets cap table. So the Nets have let me go back over quick. You guys are this will be a nice little nugget for anyone who's still watching. Brooklyn has $15.275 million of cap space. Cleveland is now $13.862 million over the second apron. Dennis Schroeder makes $14.104 million. Max Strus makes, let's pull up Max Strus's number quick, 15.9, so I'm not going to include him. Would not be shocked to see a Cavs Nets trade. That's a little nugget for everybody. Do think there's a really, really good chance that a Brooklyn-Cleveland trade materializes that helps Cleveland get out of the second apron and Brooklyn gets some form of small draft capital. So, so his two-way doesn't count. Each team gets 15 standard and then 3 two-way contracts. But if they do want to commit Tomlin's or convert, if they do want to convert Tomlin, which there's a very good chance that they actually do, then if they salary dump Schroeder, I'll tweet this here too. Schroeder or Strus, they could then convert Tomlin for the remainder of the season to a standard NBA deal. So, I think honestly, I'm glad that you're pointing this out because I do think that's a lot of good stuff that they're going to be able to put together. Bao, what Bao is saying and AG is saying, it's very good. This is part of what I love streaming too, because you guys remind me of stuff in the moment that I maybe haven't mentioned yet, or things that kind of slip my mind at times. So it's very good stuff. Patriot here says good stuff. My Rockets need to get Io to Sumnu. I could see Io making a lot of sense for Houston as well. Why is the trade deadline on Super Bowl week? But so, hey, the way I look at it, it's going to help us get through the week super quick so that the Super Bowl gets here even quicker. It'll be awesome. Flood Pro says, what will the Heat do before the deadline? Again, I will have that trade deadline predictions video coming out very, very soon. Make sure you guys do subscribe and like today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the content here at Utility Sports. 400 people watching live still, which is just incredible, especially for a late night stream like this one, kind of a surprise stream with news, but a lot of subscribers tonight. Appreciate everyone hitting that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hopefully you felt like I answered your questions. Hopefully you feel heard and seen. I always love having such a great community. Let's get a W community going in the chat here as well, real quick before the stream ends. But really do always appreciate you guys. Chris here says Lonzo to the Hornets. Big baller brand, breathing well. Love to see that. Appreciate you, King Nacho. Hearing Lonzo to the Wizards. I mean, would be fun. Appreciate you guys all so much. Appreciate everybody being in here. Where do I think Sohan's going? I think the Knicks would be sensible. I could also see Sacramento being a team that would be a fun landing spot too. So if the Kings continue to be active, definitely possible. Devin Carter could be a guy who could make some sense for a team like New York, even getting some more depth. Jordan Clarkson's been yanked from the rotation to a certain extent. So definitely a lot to keep up with, but appreciate you guys all so much. I am going to end the stream here, but again, thank you, everybody. I'm going to go into the full camera here. Let's get some balloons flowing in here for a fun stream over an hour and 15 minutes live. And that's just the beginning. I'm planning on being live for about 40 hours this week, plus videos coming out, plus content every day. So especially starting Monday, we're going to be really rolling on overtime here. I'm going to have the caffeine flowing, got the coffee ready, getting my Starbucks order prepped. But I always appreciate you guys. Really do appreciate everyone in here. Phil, stay tuned for that trade deadline predictions video coming out on Monday. Really do appreciate you guys all again so much. Thank you, everybody. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.